Hi folks, we're going to take a look at this question that involves solving a system of equations. So let's see what's going on here. We've got a pretzel shop that sells white chocolate and dark chocolate covered pretzels. Okay, and it gives us two scenarios. So we have Banky who buys 4 white chocolate ones and 6 dark chocolate ones and pays a total of $10.50, and then Holden buys 8 white chocolate, 3 dark chocolate for a total of $9.75. And then they say solve a system of equations, so that should indicate exactly how you should solve this problem to find out the cost of each type of pretzel. So we notice here that often in this last line, they'll often tell us exactly what variables we're looking for. Okay, so in this case here, they're telling us that what we're looking for is the cost of each type of pretzel. This is a bit different from the ones, many of the ones we've been solving, because we're usually talking about how many of an item there are, how many tickets are sold. Here it's not the number of pretzels we're looking for, it's how much they cost. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to make this very clear that that's what I'm solving for, so we have to define our variables. Now you can use x or y, or you can use a variable that's more indicative of what it's representing, but I'm just going to use x and y. So I'm going to say let x be the cost. Okay, so notice here, I don't just say let x be white chocolate pretzels, because I want to be clear that I'm talking about the cost of these pretzels and not the number. So the cost of the white chocolate pretzels. Okay, I'm okay if you use shorthand here, and we want y to be the cost of, so this is just the ditto sign, meaning whatever I wrote above, same thing here, of the dark chocolate pretzels. Okay, so these are the variables that I'm going to be working with. So now I'm going to have to come up with 2 equations, because in order to solve for 2 unknowns, 1 equation won't do. I'm going to need 2 equations. So let's take a look at the first piece of information. So let's look at what Banky does. So he buys 4 white, 6 dark for $10.50. So let's figure out how much money do just the white chocolate pretzels cost him. Well, he buys 4, and they're X dollars each. Okay, so 4 times the cost of each pretzel gives me the cost of all the white chocolate pretzels, and then I add to that the total cost of the dark chocolate pretzels, which is going to be 6 times the cost of each dark chocolate pretzel. And add those together and we get our total of $10.50. Okay, so there's our first equation, and then the second equation is going to be pretty similar. So 8 white chocolate pretzels times the cost of each pretzel plus 3 dark chocolate pretzels times the cost of each dark chocolate pretzel gives me a total of $9.75. Okay, so these are the 2 equations that I'm working with. So I notice here that there's no coefficients of 1 or minus 1 on any of the variables, so I'm going to use elimination. Okay, so I look here and I realize that I got 2 options and they're both pretty easy, because I see 4 and 8. I can multiply the first equation by 2 to get 8 x's in these spots here, or I can multiply the second equation by 2 to get 6x in both of these spots. Sorry, I meant y. 3y times 2 gives me 6y. So I'll work with the x's. Could be either way. So I'm going to take equation 1 and I'm going to multiply it by 2. Notice here how I'm always showing what I'm doing at every step. So 2 times equation 1, multiply that to both sides, is going to be 8x plus 6 times 2 is 12y equals 10.50 times 2, so 10 and 10 is 20, plus 50 times 2, so it'll be $21. And then I've got equation 2 that doesn't need to change. I have 8x plus 3y equals 9.75. Okay, since the signs of the coefficients here are both positive, I'm going to subtract the 2 equations. If they were opposite signs, I'd be adding. But here they're the same sign, so I'm going to subtract. I'm going to put brackets around everything to remind myself that I'm subtracting all terms. So 8x minus 8x, 0. 12x minus 3x, 12y minus 3y is 9y. And here 21 minus 9.75, so let's figure this out. It's from $10 to $21, that's at $11 plus the extra 25 cents, so $11.25. Okay, of course do that in your calculator if you want to ensure you don't make any silly mistakes. And I will do this last division, so y is just going to be equal to 11.25. Whoops, 11.25 divided by 9, and we have 125. Okay. So that tells us that the cost of a dark chocolate pretzel is $1.25, but of course I also need to know the cost of the white chocolate pretzel, so I take either one of these equations and solve for x. And really, I can't say there's one that looks that much simpler than the other, so I'll just use equation 1. So here we have 4x plus 6y, which I now know is $1.25, equals 10.50. So 4x equals, 4x equals, and I'll do this in one shot, so got a lot of experience with equations, so I allow myself to skip some steps. So I'm going to be multiplying this, but I need to then subtract that from 1050. Okay, so 1050, and I'm going to be subtracting 6 times 125, and luckily calculator takes care of bed mass for me. Okay, and that gives me 3. Okay, and I don't think I need my calculator for that last one. X is equal to 3 over 4. But since we're talking about money, we really should put that in decimal form. So 0.75. Okay, so now we should answer the question, which is the cost of each type of pretzel. So a white chocolate pretzel costs, so here white chocolate was the X, 75 cents per pretzel, and a dark chocolate pretzel, oops, I guess the other way around, pretzel costs $1.25. Okay, and there's our final answer. So just to recap, when you're solving a question of systems of equations, number 1, if they're not defined for you, define the 2 variables you're working with, write your system of equations, determine what method you're going to use to solve this system, and then be sure at the very end to state the answer to the question that was being asked. Okay, that's it for this one.